Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm a few minutes late. I should keep a clock in here, but these conversations are so amazing that we get to have. That was just the Lisa Levine, and I'm supposed to be talking to Mari Fong right now from Check Your Head podcast. Um, so interesting, this podcast that was developed. It's all to try to help musicians with, oh, there, maybe she's joining under that account. So I see Sweet Mari Rocks, but I'm not, oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so I just asked you to join. So a little bit of background. Um, Mari is the executive producer and host for the Check Your Head Mental Health for Musicians podcast. Hi, it's so
Hey.
nice to be connected. I'm sorry I ran a few minutes late.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you excellently. Yes, this is great. So tell me, this is really wonderful that you created this podcast, because whether as a musician, a writer, artist, I feel like when you're creative, you're using that part of your brain. We do see a lot of issues sometimes. We hear people who have mental health issues, and especially when you're trying to dive into your creative side. So we've lost so many, unfortunately, we've lost so many musicians through the years because of this. So it's so great that you have created a place, a community for people to bring people together to talk about this. And can you tell me a little bit about how you started, why you started it, a little bit of background?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for letting me be on this wonderful Instagram live. This is so
Oh, I'm so glad to have you.
and yeah, the Check Your Head podcast started, I guess the idea started in 2017. It was a tough year for musicians, and I've been a music journalist for 20 plus years. Um, Interviewed people like Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. And in 2017, we lost Chester Bennington and also Chris Cornell of Soundgarden. And on top of that, we lost others like Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade. And at the time, I was saying, what is going on? These are people that I admire. These are people that are bringing me joy. And how can they live this world in so much pain? And at the time, I had also, I've experienced depression and anxiety in my life, bouts of it. And it's tough. I mean, I know the feeling of hopelessness. I know the feeling of like, is this ever going to end? And I could see where people can get lost in recovery. And sometimes, when you're suffering from a mood disorder, you're so tired that you just don't know where to turn to next. And so I thought, I really want to do something. And I'm going to do it in the industry that I know best, which is music. So, so it's funny. I thought of what to do, and for some reason, podcasts kept coming up. And I really didn't know anything about starting a podcast. And I only listened to maybe a handful of them. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to start this Check Your Head Mental Health for Musicians podcast. Not only have musicians come on and share their stories and their solutions for mental health, but also provide a website at checkyourheadpodcast.com that has a list of solutions that people can try, and that's it. It's all about just being persistent to try and find what works best for you.
Who has been on the podcast? Who are some of the people that you've had recently on the podcast?
I've had Gilby Clarke of Guns N' Roses. I've had drummer comedian Fred Armisen from Portlandia and SNL. That was really a fun interview. We also have like up and coming artists like Grandson. He was just in the top 10 on the Billboard's charts with his single Dirty. I'd have rock bands like Seether come on. They came on. They have such a popular fan base. They're so, just really great rock music. And then I also had the iconic Linda Ronstadt on the show, and that
Wow.
was super exciting for me because, she's not only has she had like decades of amazing music, but she's living with progressive supranuclear palsy, which kind of affects her muscles, and she's not able to sing anymore. But for her to come on my podcast and share her story, and also share her solutions for recovery was really a super thrill.
And how do you're hearing these stories, and are most of the people that join your show, do you find that they're in recovery, like that they found solutions to offer to others? Like, have you ever had anyone on the show that's kind of in the thick of a situation right now? Because I'm sure that's very challenging too on you as the interviewee, because, these are emotional, you're making this emotional connection. This is something real that's happened. So how do you, as someone that's interviewing, how do you, progress through that interview to kind of hear their story too, on the podcast?
Well, we have artists that have been around for a long time, like Emilio Castillo of Tower of Power. And, he talked about not only his mental health struggles, but also addiction, which often is tied, to a mood disorder like depression or anxiety or panic attacks. And in those cases, they'll talk about their journey, all the struggles and the hardships that they've gone through and how persistent they were to find what finally worked for them. And, for Emilio Castillo, he found a 12-step program, after being an alcohol addict, being, an alcoholic for years and years. And so in that case, some people look back and they have ongoing solutions, because oftentimes we have to continue to really put mental health as a priority. And then there are other people like India Shawn, who was up and coming, and she, is having ongoing struggles with trying to get a handle on her alcohol use. So, it depends. It depends. And the cool thing about his story was, he talks about the anxieties growing up, the symptoms of ADHD that he's had. He's had bouts of depression. And, a lot of these anxieties he still has to manage. But on the other hand, he talks about his love of music. He talks about his ambition. He talks about really wanting to do great things in music. So it shows how people have different sides of themselves. On one hand, he's really persistent and ambitious. On the other hand, he has a lot of insecurities and anxiety. And I think that's really true for a lot of us, right? Is like we have so many different sides of us. And, I can come on here and be optimistic and happy and content with my life, which I am. But when I was in the depths of depression, I didn't even recognize myself. I wasn't optimistic. I, wasn't motivated to do much of anything. And so, these are situations when somebody is really in the midst of a bad mood disorder. They not only have to reach out for help, but if you recognize any signs, to go up to somebody and check in on them, really try and have a heart-to-heart talk if you see changes in their behavior.
And that's a good point. So as like a friend to someone or as someone that you're working with, or if you think that someone's going through something, and I've been on this side before, what do you suggest someone say, is there a right way of approaching this, to try to show that you are in a place of, helping, that you would want to help someone, or you would want to seek out help for them?
Well, that's a really good question because, if you ask somebody, how are you? More than likely, they're going to say, you know what, I'm fine. I'm doing great. I'm fine. But, if you take somebody and you have a heart to heart with them, or you grab them and, in private, say, you know what, I've noticed that, you seem a little down, or it seems like something's on your mind. What's going on? Is there something that you want to share? Is there anything that I can do? Oftentimes, if you push a little bit, uh, people will tell you, because I think they really want help, but they're embarrassed. Sometimes they're embarrassed or they're ashamed. I know that Sammy Dahl, she's a musician with IMX. She said that her bandmate came up to her and did exactly that and said, I know there's something going on with you, please let me know. And that was when she broke down in tears, just cried her eyes out. And it was like the floodgates were open. And that is really usually the turning point where people can open up. And the funny thing is that oftentimes the other person has experienced the same kind of feelings, or may have gone through the same kind of depression or panic attack or ADHD symptoms, that they finally feel like they're not alone, that
Mm-hmm.
somebody understands. And once you get that understanding, that really, it feels good, because oftentimes when you're in the midst of something like that, you feel really alone. And,
Yeah, it could be and it's an opportunity for someone to have a bridge, to be able to like have them get to the other side where they might be able to get professional help if they need that, or, opening up that conversation. So, and you have something called superheroes. I was reading, right? The new superhero t-shirts. And who are your superheroes?
you know what? Yes, these are the, oh gosh, sorry about that.
I see.
I'm wearing one of the sweatshirts, and superheroes started out as anyone that took part in our mission. And our mission was to normalize the conversations on mental health, to, assist others in need if they need assistance, and just to help provide solutions for recovery for mood disorders. But you know what? Since this pandemic, we've seen so many superheroes. We've seen people that are on the front line, doctors, nurses, people in the hospital that are taking care of COVID patients. We have COVID patients that are survivors, that are going through these symptoms, that are maybe on the brink, that are fighting. And, when I think about it, there are so many everyday superheroes that are around us, our friends or our family, that have gone through some of life's toughest challenges. And I thought, wouldn't that be nice to either gift this to somebody, or even gift it to yourself? Because you know what? Everybody wants to be a superhero in some way, and it feels good. I don't know. I
I
know.
love it. I think it's great. It's like a great gift to, a great gift exchange to give to someone. It's like writing a note to someone in a way. You're giving them, you have the opportunity to highlight someone, and if you think that they're a superhero, that's like one of the nicest things you could probably say to someone. And they're available. You have those available too on Check Your Head podcast.
Yes, I have them on my website. In fact, I just put them up this week. And yeah, we have t-shirts, and the t-shirts are in like a charcoal black. It's really cool. It's pre-shrunk cotton, 100% pre-shrunk cotton. And then the sweatshirts, like the ones that I'm wearing, they're actually hoodies.
That's so
And
cute.
what?
That's so cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I kind of live in it right now because they're really comfortable, and I don't know, it makes me feel good to feel like I'm a
Yeah. I mean, what
superhero.
we wear should make us feel good, like that's why we shouldn't wear things that we're uncomfortable in, or, I think it's such a good thing when you put something on, you feel great. I'm wearing this jumpsuit, my son actually painted it.
Oh,
So it's
that's
like tie-dye. He
cute.
just like threw paint on it. We made it an art project, and it's like one of my favorite things right now. So it was like a little art project. So I think you should feel good in what you wear. It helps everything for sure. Helps your personality for the day. It helps you feel confident. So I love that. Um, do you have any superheroes? Like, who are some of your shout outs of superheroes?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, you know, my daughters, I feel, are superheroes. I mean, when I was sick, it was my daughter that gathered the family around and said, you know what, we've got to do something. And it was so hard for me because I felt like I couldn't do anything. I mean, she took me into her home and you know, made sure that I was eating, and really helped take me to support groups and take me to doctor's appointments. And those are the things that people don't always see. They don't see that. And you know those are the moments that really people remember, the moments when you're down and out and you need a hand. I mean, who's going to be there for you? Not everybody. They've been superheroes. And even my friend had to take me to a doctor's appointment. And, these are things that people do that are oftentimes you don't even ask them. And they just offer their help and they step right in. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah.
true. What is there a quote that you're really loving right now that is something you would want to share with others?
You know,
Or
I
a motto or mantra or anything that kind of helps you, um, that you really, really like, or not something that you have to say that you live by, but just maybe something you recently heard.
You know what? I like to live by the motto, live what you love. And one thing is, if we do something that we love, or we have more loves in our life, whatever happens, like with the podcast, it's something that I love. It's something that makes me feel good. And I love to hear the stories and all the knowledge that I hear from not just the musicians, but mental health experts that come on the show. No matter what the challenge we come across, we keep going. If we love it, we keep going. And there are going to be challenges, right? There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be people that say no to us. There are going to be people like yourself that say yes. And as long as you really love and enjoy what you're doing, you're going to keep going. So, and that's also part of our a good tool for, mental health, is just to really surround yourself with things that you love. And at the end of every episode, I do say, be brave, ask for help, and be persistent in finding the mental help that you need. And that's also really important to remember, especially when you're going through something really difficult.
And you do offer solutions as well on the website, and the podcast is has solutions that have worked for different people. Just as a resource, we have a lot of musicians that we work with, that are part of our Caravan Social Club. So if we can be a resource to point them in your direction,
Aw.
You know, you know, if anyone needs help, or if anyone has anyone that needs help, or they want to just hear stories of people who have, you know, been able to go through this and get on the other side. So I think this is it's so great that you have started this, because there's a lack, I think, of sometimes the information out there, and the opportunity to communicate and come together as a community to talk, and to hear. So I say thank you for creating such a wonderful podcast that can help so many people, can help the people that are on there, because they're able to tell. I think anytime you tell a story, sometimes when there's been a dark time for certain people, that's a form of therapy too. So, you know, sharing that and sharing what you learn and helping others through your own dark times sometimes can be therapy for certain people. So you're giving them a platform to be able to do that. And you're also helping so many people that might be going through this. You know, you're almost like this silent, you know, this place that people can listen and learn. So this is just so wonderful that you created this. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. And
And everyone can find you. And how often do you do your shows?
I've been dropping a episode every 2 weeks on Tuesday morning. I also have a YouTube channel. So all these great Zoom interviews that I've been doing are now on my YouTube channel. So I drop that every 2 weeks. So every week it's either a podcast episode or a YouTube interview. And
I love it.
yeah.
That's great. Well, keep it up, and I hope that we get to do more together. If there's any way that we can collaborate, we will be in touch, and I'm sure we'll figure out something that we can kind of stay in touch on for sure.
Yes, that would be wonderful. In fact, I just partnered with Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, which I'm really excited about. They're at sweetrelief.org. And I'm also supported by DBSA San Gabriel Valley. So all donations are tax deductible because they are a 501c3. But I would love to partner with you or do something together. That would be wonderful.
Yes, yes. I have Britt Taylor on next, who's a musician. So this has been great that we've had this conversation. Thank you for being part of this Wednesday. And we will continue to follow what you're doing and follow your podcast. And I hope that you'll follow us. And thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, have a good rest of Wednesday. Bye.